we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it.
All right, welcome to episode 96 of the Abuse Hour. It is I, your host, Coffee Long, coming to you unsupervised, unmedicated, and an unchecked threat to society. So, before we get into the latest retardation, I wanted to put a quick thing out, for anybody who's looking for it, where you can find me on the telegrams and what have you. So this trash podcast is available on Spotify under the Abuse Hour, obviously. And I think it is. There's a couple of podcasts that I saw that are like, you got to type in that exact fucking title or it ain't gonna pop up. And I've seen a few things like this, and I'm like, what the fuck is with this, man? This shiesty fucking weak sauce treatment, man. But this appears to be one of those podcasts as well where, like, you got to write it in there, the Abuse Hour, or it ain't gonna come up. I guess it's also on a bunch of other places. So far as I know, it hasn't been shit canned off of like iTunes or whatever, because I've kind of minded some of my P's and Q's. But the Telegram is, well, till recently I'd say was where it's at, because I'm just going to keep putting shit in there, and at whatever point I get shit canned off of every other platform, I'll just keep saying things on Telegram. And I've kind of, how can one say, done my best to hedge my bets, so that even if Pavel Durov opens all the books and is like, here you go, FBI, fucking whoever, have at it, go hunt down whoever you want, they're still going to come up with dead ends where my shit is concerned, hopefully. You know, I mean, like you say, man, like, anybody can find anybody eventually, but they're going to really have to fucking want it. And I can't really say that outside of petty insults and lowbrow racism, I don't really have that much to offer, man. I'm not putting out anything secret squirrel. I'm not putting out anything classified. But I do try to give a halfway decent take here, there, and the other. So, kind of looking at what's going on, man. It's like right close to election time, election day. By the time I get this out, should be only a day or two till the deal is whatever getting done. I'm not sure quite what I'm gonna do yet, man. I don't mean nothing like wacky. I'm talking about like, what I'm gonna do, because it is like, it's a way better gig than, I don't know, like the Super Bowl or the World Series. Apparently that just happened, right? Like, World Series just happened. I don't even fucking know. I don't watch that kind of shit. But, I saw one or two people going around, oh, fucking LA Dodgers, man, fucking cool. I'm like, what are you talking about? Who roots for the fucking Dodgers? And apparently they won the World Series. Good for them. Terrific. I'm sure a lot of Mexican families got a lot of parking dollars out of that particular situation. I had been in LA a few times, like, during a few different sports balling events, and that's, I don't know if it happens everywhere. I could say that it definitely happens in LA, man, where there's like neighborhoods, there are parking structures, but that shit fills up, and people will open up like their driveway or their yard, and like, hey, you could pay $100, Holmes, just park in my yard, Holmes. And like, yeah, that's terrific. That's exactly what I want to do, is park in some Mexican dude's yard. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So I saw, a couple videos, as you'd expect. They set the whole fucking place on fire. Riots in streets, things get broken. I saw there was like a bus on fire. There was some Mexican in a Dodgers jersey that blew up his fucking hand. Holy hell, dude. And I mean, all that shit they tell you about don't fuck around with fireworks, man. Like, don't let kids play with this shit. Because, like, the actual firework itself, like, it doesn't pack that much ass, right? There's not that much, not that much horsepower behind this thing. But it's when you close it up, right? Just like a pipe bomb, dude. Like, it's not the stuff that's like super, super volatile. It's the fact that you've got it enclosed and now you light it off, and that's what, bam, like makes it fucking go the way it does. So this fucking guy blew his fucking hand up, and he's got like, if you ever seen anybody with a blown up hand before, man, I don't know, there's some rough looking shit that people could do to each other, but I mean, a blown up hand, it has a look all its own. And it's like this raggedy, fucked up, burgered out looking thing, and like the fingers are floppy and there's blood dripping, and you're like, God damn. Oh, I speaking of, Halloween caliber gore, I saw a Telegram post where there were like 3 American dudes that got smoked in Ukraine. 3 one former Marine, 1 former Army guy, and then they're like, and 1 former somebody, we're guessing by his tattoos and his gear that he was American, but we can't tell who it was because his head is gone. Like, it's like chunks of hamburger over there, some raspberry jam over there. It's a done deal. And that's like, it's weird looking at somebody without a head, but it's not, to me, not as fucked up as a blown up hand. A blown up hand is like, and you're not even dead. You're like, ah, shit. You're getting a hook, dude. You're getting a hook. So, yeah, it was pretty wild, dude. Right there in downtown LA. Good times. Enjoy yourself. Other stuff, man. Other stuff I wanted to hit on today. I wanted to do a little more ranting and raving. Obviously, some good racist content. Try to get back to my roots, right? Maybe a couple thoughts on this election. And what else? Oh, I wanted to talk about this one podcast that I listened to, and it was, I think I had planned to talk about it before, but I hadn't gotten to it yet. And man, you know how it gets. But this was a deal that Ambrose had sent me, and Ambrose, if you didn't know him, he's like one of the big wheels in the movement, man. Like the guy that knows people that knows people. Like, this is the guy, right? So this guy had sent me a short video of a podcast. It's this dude, it's these 2 guys, right? It's the Danny Jones podcast, and this guy has on, like, I've listened to a couple of them, and I mean, a lot of it, I almost gotta feel like this is just a time suck, dude. This is just, I don't know, I don't want to call it like total opposition, but I mean, there's a lot of time suckery in here where, you're like, you listen to something and maybe it's true or half true. And I listened to part of one this morning, dude. It had just popped on while I was listening to that dude, Ben Bankus. He's definitely, I mean, this dude's our guy. This guy's a fucking riot, but this guy's a comedian, and he's like reaching for like straight offensive content. Like, I couldn't believe what I was fucking hearing. Like, this dude's, he's up there and he's talking about, like, I guess he's originally from Canada, which reasonably is enough to turn almost anybody racist, because that fucking place, dude. And Leafs, bro, I love you, man. Good God almighty, dude. What the communists are doing to that place, dude. I mean, it is fucked up. I've worked, and I've mentioned before, dude, I worked on both coasts in Canada. And the West Coast, dude, I flew into Vancouver, and it was, the airport is actually pretty nice. But if you've ever been to an airport terminal in Asia, like, it's exactly like this. Like, Asian motherfuckers have no sense of, spatial relationships. They just run right the fuck into you. They'll stop. They'll just like, boom, just like run right into you and bounce off like fucking bumper cars. They don't give a shit. They don't have proper luggage. A lot of them will do it, and you can fuck off if you're going to call this shit like, oh, that's a stereotype. It's a fucking fact, dude. I've seen this over the course of decades. They do this shit. They won't buy luggage, man. Right? I mean, I know luggage can be spendy, but like, you can go to fucking TJ Maxx or whatever, and they got cheap shit in there. Get yourself a suitcase, right? They won't do it, dude. They'll put their shit in a cardboard box and tape that shit up, and then take it to the airport. And they're like, oh, why do I give a fuck? I put on the little fucking thing, and then you put it on the airplane, and all their shit will come off there all wrapped up in twine and fucking plastic, shit falling out of it, fucking cardboard box. You're like, God damn, dude. So this was fucking Vancouver, dude, and it was brimming with Chinese. And even the people who live there, like, you think you're freaked the fuck out. People that I talked to that live there were like, yeah, these motherfuckers, dude. They're talking about, they come over there and like a rich dude will send like they call it idiot son syndrome. He'll send his idiot son over there, like buy a place and like go take care of the house that I've basically like bought a giant monster fuck off house so that so they can hide money from the Chinese government. Like, yeah, some fucking communist you are, right? But they'll buy these monster fucking houses, these expensive cars, and then their idiot fuck sons will go over there and like crash their car, throw blowout parties at the house, have strippers back to the pad and the whole fucking thing. So it's like, how much money are you really saving here? I don't fucking know. But that was the West Coast, the Vancouver tip. And then on the East Coast, I've actually spent more time there in Toronto. Dude, what in the French fried fuck is going on with this city, man? Like, it's done up like what you expect, some kind of leftist walking city to be, like what you had in mind, right? Like, shit is close. There's lots of restaurants, little kitschy fucking places to eat. I'll tell you, the fucking Canadians with this poutine shit. And if you don't know what that is, it's some kind of like chili fries type product. And this is some fucking, I've seen a lot of nasty fucking food in the places that I've been. And there's a lot of shit like the Afghanistan fried triangle, man. Fuck that. You can have that. I don't know what you put in there. That's nasty shit. But this Canadian shit, this poutine shit, fucking hell, man. That is not fucking food. That is like some leftover shit that you like put in front of a horse or something. Like, here, eat this and then carry me to the next town so I can rob the saloon or whatever the fuck you're going to do, because it's fucking nasty, dude. Anyway, this place, man, fucking brimming, spilling over the top with Indian motherfuckers, man. And what else can you say about that? Like, we've all seen the type, right? Like, good Christ, it smells in here. But I don't know. It's not a good scene, and there's not that many people. There's not that many people in Canada. And for as many of these cats as they're trucking in, there's entire neighborhoods that I saw that were like, yeah, all the street signs here, like all the fucking establishments are in Hindi. Other places it was all in Chinese. You're like, God damn, dude. Like, what is this place going to look like in 10 years? It's going to look like what these people fled from. And it's all because of people that you say, oh, you see stupid white people, and the Canadian people are they're so fucking nice. Everything is sorry. Like, you could punch one of them straight in the fucking teeth. And they'll be like, oh, sorry I got in your way. And like, yeah, okay. Yeah, no big deal. It's just how they get down, but they have pretty much forked over that country. But anyway, I fucking considerably digress. And this dude, Ben Bankus, I guess, is a Canadian dude. And this dude, like, he has apparently had it up to fucking here. And this guy's talking about, yeah, he's fucking Chinaman. You've seen him around. He's talking about, like, you're gonna vote for the Trump. I don't like the Trump. He a bad guy. I like the Trump. You vote Donald Trump. It's bizarre, dude. But he says this shit, and like the first time I saw a video of it, I was like, oh man, this guy's gonna get fucking canceled like yesterday. But like the people in the room are laughing their fucking asses off. And what's crazy is like people will go to this dude's shows, I guess, and I don't really know so much about how comedy clubs and shit work. That's not really my scene. I don't really know so much about how that shit works, but apparently the way that this works, like from the one time that I've been to one, was like a lot of like small scale motherfuckers show up, like, I don't know, like amateur strippers or something, and they come out and they test their wares, and they try to get a laugh and this kind of shit. And sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're not. They get a few minutes, and then it's like the bigger name person, like the main draw, right? Like the main card, the fucking fight of the night kind of thing. Then that guy goes up there and he does his thing, or chick, if that's even possible. Although somebody did post in the chat, this one woman that was actually funny, and I've seen a few clips of her go around, and I'm like, holy shit, she's actually fucking funny, because she's very obviously one of our guy type thing, But this dude Ben Bankus, I'm listening to this guy's podcast, and he's talking about it. Honestly, his podcast ain't that great. It's it's probably better than this, as is most things, but he's talking about just places he's been, people he's met, this kind of thing. And he just kind of talks like a regular person because he's not offering you, he's not offering you rehearsed material. I'm not handing the shit out for free, right? But he's talking, and it's only an hour long or so. So I'm like, yeah, I'll listen to this. This guy's pretty fucking funny. Listen to that, and then it pops over to this this Danny Jones podcast that I have been listening to. And I'll tell you, man, I honestly think that there is material just like the Hasbro, just like the Unit 8200 shit. I honestly think that there's stuff out there that is designed to do nothing other than just suck you down a rabbit hole, kill your afternoon, cloud some of your thoughts, muddy the waters a little bit, and then just spit you back out and get you the fuck down the road. Because having listened to a couple of these Danny Jones podcasts, some of them, they'll have like a few minutes of some interesting content, but it's like 2 hours and change, this shit. A lot of them. And I'm like, dude, I'm not giving you fucking 2 hours, dude. I can't even think of a movie that I want to sit still for that's like 2.5 hours, man. Like, I ain't watching Gone with the fucking Wind every day. It ain't happening. So I had this thing on, and I had been kind of on the fence about what does this guy really have to offer, and then this thing that came on this morning, and I don't know if it was the most recent or most listened or whatever the fuck, but it just came on after this Ben Bankus thing, and he's talking to this dude that's like, this is a good old boy. Like, this guy is from out there, and he's talking about, I was going hunting with my dad, and he's an old fella, right? So this ain't like some guy that's just kind of just that way, just talks that way. We're like, this is exactly that guy. Like, this guy's got some miles on him. But this guy apparently, back in 2007, round about that time, he's talking about he was off hunting with a couple of his buddies, his pals, maybe his cousin or something, and Junior, his son. And what's crazy is he talks about like the places in the holler where he's out hunting, and this shit, but he's talking like where he's talking about. I'll go up around a bend up there, I'll buy that clearing that's up on the top there. They're like, I don't know any of these places, guy, but he's running on. And then he's talking about, he encountered aliens, and he saw aliens, and they all saw aliens, and I was like, maybe, fuck, I don't know. I ain't gonna say he's full of shit. I don't know that I need to hear about it for 2 hours. And in fairness, I haven't listened to the whole thing. Maybe the guy goes on later to say that, like, yeah, NASA came out and they tried to saw his head open and pull his brain out and made him sign a non-disclosure agreement of some time. I don't fucking know, dude. Because I didn't listen to the whole thing. But I listened to that much and I was like, fuck, dude, what am I sitting through over here? I was like, that's enough, man. I gotta get the fuck out of here. Go do something quasi-productive, like talk shit about stuff I can't do anything about. That's my cup of tea. So another one, what I was getting to eventually, who knows how long ago, Ambrose had sent me one of these Danny Jones podcasts, and it was like a little clip of it, and it's these two CIA jamokes. And one of them is an older dude, and I can't remember the guy's exact name. It's like John Kyriakis or something like that. It's like a Greek name. But he's talking about, his experience, and then they got this other guy on there, Andrew Bustamante. And it was, in all, I would say, the takeaway from it was like, fuck all, dude. It was basically like, there is, like George Carlin was saying, that fucking broke-ass comic from in the 70s. Like, it is a big club and you ain't in it, was the ultimate takeaway that I got. And what these guys were talking about was really, like, their experiences at CIA and how it might differ from other people's perception and what they think the role of it ought to be and this kind of thing. And what a lot of this centered around was the idea that this guy, John Kyriakis or whatever his name was, this guy was a whistleblower and had come out talking about some CIA programs. I want to say it was interrogation programs, some data collection programs, some shit that they shouldn't be fucking doing, long and short. Because if you look at any of this shit, historically, what it's supposed to do, what the CIA is designed to do, what I'll say was pitched as, what this is for, right? Is that this is to keep stateside the homeland, safe against foreign threats. So the idea is these people get out there, they collect information, they pipe that information back through central nodes, and then somebody comes up with what you would call intelligence to say, this is what I know, this is what I assess. Right? That's what CIA is supposed to be doing. What this guy came out saying was like, yeah, man, they're doing a whole fuck of a lot more than that, man. They're looking at you, they're looking at who you talk to. It's not cool. They're bending people's arms ways they don't go to get intel out of them or to get information out of them. And, as much as try to keep in mind, right? Like, I'm not Mr. Sanctity of Human Life by any stretch, right? It is what it is. I mean, I'm okay with, sometimes people get bent the wrong direction. These things happen. I was kind of always fully accepting of the fact that could be me, right? Laying there as strawberry jam. But that's the price you pay, man. That's the money you put on the line, if you want to be in the game. So it sort of is what it is. But looking at this shit, dude, I look at it and I'm like, well, look, this ain't really cricket, dude. If you want to say this guy is an enemy of bunny ears, the state, just fucking put a bullet in him. Let that be the end of it. If you think the guy knows some shit you need to know, then bend the guy in half, man. Waterboard him, figure out whatever you need to figure out. Let's get down the fucking road. But this business of like, well, we're just going to fuck you around for the next 20 years. Like maybe you're somebody, maybe you're nobody. We don't know. Maybe we just hang on to you. Maybe we fuck you around sometimes. It's like, well, this ain't really cricket, dude. This is a very Hebrew way to do things, man. And that's the only way I could think of it, dude. This is not a white man's way to wage war right here. So this guy came out and had talked about it, and he got shit canned in a big fucking hurry, I guess, out of CIA. And this guy, at the time, apparently, this guy had moved up to not a super senior position, but this guy was, I can't remember what his exact position was, but this guy had moved up to a leadership position. Like, there are people that answered to him, right? And I want to say he was on, like, the counterterrorism side or some such thing. But this guy had proven himself, in a sense that, like, look, I'm a company man. I'm playing ball. I'm doing it how you like it done, right? And they were promoting this guy. So this guy had gotten promoted. And he went on, this guy, John, this whistleblower dude. This guy also had talked a little bit about his experience with Mossad. And, like, let me let the cat out of the bag right now. Like, neither of these fuckers were willing to, like, just straight point the finger at Mossad and be like, yeah, fuck these guys, right? They both come with this kind of fucking, we need them. They're just like us, they're, our greatest. So only this other guy, this Andrew Bustamante guy actually says, this is the only democracy in the region. Get the fuck out of here. But I'll come to his black ass here forthwith. Anyway, so this guy was talking, and he was talking about his experience in dealing with Mossad, and he had spent time in Israel, I guess, and he said, like, periodically, like, they would be very open about it. Like, you know that this is just sort of the way the game is played, that you're going to keep an eye on them, they're going to keep an eye on you. If you're in some other country, I mean, dude, I had it happen to me. I was in a country in Asia, and I got followed around, but you just kind of know they're going to watch what you're fucking doing. And if you get a chance, catch a little snapshot of them and, bring it back and, like, anybody know who the fuck this is? And, like, maybe it is who you thought it was. Maybe it's somebody totally fucking else. It's just the way the game is fucking played. All right. But he said, like, they would do this kind of ham-fisted thing where they would, like, try to fuck you around. Right. So, like, he's talking about him and his old lady go to some dinner, like some embassy dinner type shit that these people go to. They go to this thing, they come back to their house, and, like, everything is moved. Like, everything is conspicuously moved. Like, the furniture is all moved, shit is upside down, shit's fucked around, and it's like, okay, this wasn't like I just noticed something is out of place. This is like you came in here, you looked through shit, and then, like, deliberately put the couch on that side of the room. Like, yeah, look, see, motherfucker, like, I can come in here anytime I want, just so you know. And they said they would do shit like this. And then the last, it was like their going away dinner type thing, whatever. He said they go to this thing, the going away dinner, and then they came back to their house. And I don't know, I guess it would be, I'm guessing a few weeks or something before they actually left because their shit wasn't in boxes and they still have a house to go back to. So I'm guessing it's not that day or whatever, but they come back to their house. and these fuckers had gotten in and cut the tail off their cat and then wrapped up the tail. Oh, and then took a shit in every toilet in the house. So I'm like, what could be more Jewish than this shit? You know, like cut the tail off your cat, and I guess it like bandaged it up as like still like a fuck you. But did that shit, fucked up their cat, shit in all their toilets, and like that's just, I mean, you wouldn't even have to tell me at that point, like, oh yeah, Jews were here. You know, like I'm a fucking Indian dude with my ear to the train track or whatever, and like, what's going on? Me here, I'm Jew. Me have them shit on my ear. Me know what they do, you know? So this guy was even saying, though, like, you know, this is a country that we pay billions of dollars to, but these people are like, they're extremely hostile to us, man. So, you know, it's a hostile world out there, is, you know, how this guy is talking about it. But it was weird. It was like the programming just wouldn't break to say, like, man, fuck these people. These people ain't our fucking friends. You know, it was weird. He wouldn't do it. But where they did kind of start getting into it was when they start talking about, like, should this guy or should he not have been a whistleblower? And this dude, Andrew Bustamante, this fucking guy, if you've seen any of this kind of YouTube shit go around, or if you look at any social media where anything CIA might come up, like this guy had been on Sean Ryan, I think, and he's been on a couple things, and he's got like his own little racket. And I think it's called like Everyday Spy or some shit like that. And I haven't really looked at it because I don't put a whole fuck of a lot of stock into what this guy says. But this guy's deal was that, well, if you've seen him, you know who he was, because he's got like, he's kind of, I don't want to say lean, I'll say thin. You know, like a guy who lifts would say skinny, like he's a skinny bitch. Right, but he's got this big fucking goofball afro, and he's not like a proper Negro. He's 56%, dude, is what. So with his name Bustamante, I can't tell, you know, maybe he's Dominican, like black Dominican or something, but he's definitely on the Negro spectrum somewhere there, you know. But he's got this big fucking afro. And, you know, you could say, maybe you'd say like the guy is just a dark Hispanic or something, but the way that this dude talks, man, the way this guy fucking talks, like you can tell he's a little bit smart, but this guy has got that confidence thing. That confidence thing, I think, that only comes with being absolutely certain that no one is ever going to tell you you're wrong. So this guy, right, apparently was at CIA for 7 years and then left. I don't know why, and I haven't taken time to look into why he left or under what circumstances. I guess married some woman that he met while he was there. So I'm guessing that maybe she stayed on or stayed on a little longer, or maybe they made the decision to leave together because people don't like mud sharks even in the intel world. I don't know. But, and I mean, he could be married to a black chick. I don't fucking know what his old lady looks like. But what I do know is, bottom line, this guy was there for 7 years, has a huge fucking afro, and this guy has a fucking opinion about everything. Like, this motherfucker, you ain't telling him shit. So I'm listening to this guy talk, and this dude that he's talking to, this John guy, this guy, you know, he talks like an intelligent person should talk. He chooses his words, he's thinking it out, and he's like, look, I'm not trying to say this, and I mean to say that, and it might sound like this, but what I'm trying to communicate is this. And he's picking his words. He's trying to communicate very clearly what he wants you to understand. This fucking guy, though, is like, oh, that's bull, that's fucking crazy, bro. What's wrong with you? You know, you just shot your career in the foot. You know, I mean, would you say it's worth it? You know, I mean, just talks like a fucking uppity leftist woman. It's fucking crazy. So when I look at it, and here's why I kind of lean so hard on how long this guy wasn't there. Because at 7 years, you know, if you've done whatever you're doing, right? And I don't you, like the royal you, even if you've only ever been in like high school, right? Look at how far it is from freshman year to senior year and how much you change, right? Your view of everything changes so much just over the course of your time in high school. If you spend time in college, think of how much shit changes between like the day you get there and like this is a big crazy fucking place and maybe the day you leave. Or even if you're still at college, like the difference between the day you got there and where you are now, even if it's only 2-3 years, right? but you've changed a lot in terms of like, how do I navigate this town? What neighborhood should I stay away from? Where are the good restaurants? Where's the good coffee? Where's the good bars? Where's the hot girls? What's this place really about, man? Like, I got mud sucked on taking early classes. I should have not done that shit. Get your classes in the afternoon, right? Planning out your schedule. All this shit that you're going to figure out in just a couple of years. But if you look at something like high school or college, man, this is a very canned, very simple experience. It ain't simple when you're young and you don't know how these things work, so I ain't trying to insult you at all right? But in all, and in comparison to a lot of things, this is a very simple experience, all right? These people want money. They got a system that they'll pump you through. A lot of the way they present shit to you is very standardized. The testing is very standardized. It's usually pretty clear what you got to do to get through this place in one piece, all right? So it's pretty fucking simple. And yet, over the course, of say sometime in high school to sometime in college. Dude, that's a huge fucking change. There's a whole lot to get through. But now once you leave there, right, you leave all that shit behind and you start at a job, now shit can be very, very subjective. Where like a good job in this person's eyes might be a shit job in that person's eyes. Or the important thing today is not the important thing tomorrow. Or how your responsibilities might change over a course of time. So a monster time frame in high school is not it's like, that's not that much in work, man. Like you could work 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And like, you're just getting to where like, yeah, I understand everything that could go on here. I know the ins and outs. I've seen the wazoo shit. I've seen the monotonous shit. I've seen it at the sled dog level. I've seen it at the shot caller level. I know what the fuck goes on here. And when you see something fucked up, you even have enough experience at that point to say like, well, yeah, this is pretty fucked up, but it might have had to happen this way because X, Y, Z. And that takes, dude, in my experience where I was, that takes like a good 10 years before you're even ready to start looking at like, okay, why do things happen here the way they do? Because before that, like, you don't even really know what the fuck is happening. It's going to take a good 2, 3, 4 years before you could even say like, all right, I understand why things happen this way. Some shit's starting to make sense. Before that, one way to do things. You only know one way to fucking dig this ditch. And that's what you run with. But now, I listen to this thing and I've got this motherfucker that's at like 7 years out here like ball breaking on this dude over some shit he wasn't even involved in. But what was a trip? It's like, this guy's talking about his decision to be a whistleblower and to say like, hey, there's some fucked up shit going on around here and I need to speak up about it. All right, cool. You can think what you want about that. Like, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal to me, or I didn't give a shit, or I thought it was pretty cool or whatever. But the way the guy's talking about it, like, you have to fucking respect it. Like, you kind of got to say like, oh, I can see your point, man. All right. Whether I agree with it or not. Yeah, I can see what you're aiming at here. But now you got soul brother like no other over here. And this guy like, no, this is fucking bullshit. No, you don't do that, man. That's like, that's un-American, man. And this kind of talk, it really caught me. It really caught me off guard. I wouldn't expect, I don't know, maybe I would expect somebody, part of the big machine to talk like that. But I guess the way that it hit me was like, who the fuck are you, man? Like, one, you got 7 fucking years. So that's 7 years from like day one where you're like walking in there, still shitting college chow, talking about like, yeah, all right, I'm going to be a secret agent, man. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. You got no goddamn idea what's going on around here. And now 7 years later, you figure you've got enough experience to motherfuck this guy that made a decision based on something he felt. Not only that, the thing that really, really hit me was the way that this guy understands and or talks about America and or government. So for my money, and what I think most white people would say is that a government, the concept of government, the concept of an organized society is to make my life better, right? I'm going to subscribe to this thing because the alternative to this would be way shittier for me, right? So, if it's me and my family, or maybe it's just me and my tribe, or me and like 2 or 3 tribes, a little, fake me out city-state kind of a thing, living out here in the woods somewhere, or even, frontier times, we got a town carved out of the desert or some kind of shit. right? That's not, I mean, it's going to be organized. It's going to be workable living. You can stay alive. You're going to have some specialized work. That guy over there that's good at catching fish or hunting deer or whatever, he's going to handle that. And the other guy over there is going to handle, digging post holes or whatever. Everybody's going to have their thing and we're all going to work together. It's going to organize a little bit. That's going to be great, right? The system we have now, conceptually, should offer an even greater benefit, right? We should be getting benefits where I can get stuff from China if that's what I want. I've got paved roads. I've got a place to get my car serviced. I've got all this shit because of the kind of society that we live in. It's organized even further past what we would have otherwise had, right? So if I look at that and I go, this is better than what I would have had, then I could say, yeah, I support this. This is fucking great. But when it starts becoming a ball break, when I'm living and working for no point other than to support a society that actually says, the prevailing message is, we're here to serve everybody except you. I don't fucking like you. In fact, I would much prefer it if I could just kill you and put somebody else here in your place. I mean, for the straight white male, that is exactly where we are. All right, you're kicking down a huge chunk of your money. You fucking work. Every dollar you earn, your employer has to kick down to that government. Every dollar I take home in my pocket, the government's going to take a piece out of it. Every time I spend it, I'm going to, part of whatever dollar I spend is going to go not to that merchant, but to some fucking government somewhere. And depending on what I buy, I might have to go pay taxes on the thing I bought. So I'm paying for permission to use something that I have to pay taxes just to own, that I already paid taxes on when I bought it, with money that I had already paid taxes on. So it just goes around and around and around. And then at the end of the day, what benefit do I really get? The only benefit I get is like hoping and praying and begging that they'll slow the clock down a little on bringing in who the fuck ever, man, Haitians or Guatemalans or Somalians or who the fuck everians to replace me or to murder my kids or to like whoever came behind me, or to buy out my company and replace it with fucking Uber or whatever, right? So that's where you're at. That is the nuts and bolts of the situation. And to me, an America should be a place where you could look at this and say, yeah, this doesn't fucking work, dude. This is fucked up. Like, this doesn't represent me. This doesn't do shit for me. It doesn't make my life better. It makes my life a whole fuck of a lot harder. And apparently I ain't the only one that thinks that way, man. I mean, this John guy that's talking about doing this whistleblower thing, he's like, no, man, these are people's rights, dude. That's what the country's founded on. It's supposed to serve the people. But this guy, Soul Brother Secret Agent is talking about like, no, man, no. The government comes first, dude. That's what America's about. The government is there. People come and go, but it's the government. That's what matters. That's what you have to rally around. So in this guy's mind, what you're hearing is that the government is a reason to be unto itself, right? It doesn't need to say, I service you, or I'm here to make your life better, or this is how we organize a society. We'll set the rules that make sense out here. And if it doesn't do that, then fuck it, get rid of it. No, this guy's saying, no, it's its own reason to be. And you're the one that has to comply. You're the one that has to bend to the will of this entity, otherwise you're the problem. And what's fucking wild to me is a couple things. Is first that this really, to me, demonstrates that kind of difference in the way we perceive things between us, white people, and anything from the 56% to Johnny Somali fresh off the boat yesterday, the pitch black Haitian. It demonstrates that difference, that like what I say is freedom and what that guy thinks is freedom are two very fucking different things. I guess in the interest of being totally fair, I won't even say that one is absolutely right or absolutely wrong. And I'll tell you why. Because if you take one of these Haitians, one of these cat-eating motherfuckers, and you give this guy total freedom, you're like, hey, you're on your own, man. Totally fucking free. Well, can somebody help me? No, dude, we're not helping you. You are free. There's not going to be. You don't got to fucking sign up for something. You're not dependent on me. All right, nobody's paying into some kind of a system that's going to hand you free shit. Nobody's going to put a free roof over your head. You are fucking free. Because, I mean, free to do what you want also means free to die in a ditch. You're not my fucking problem. If that's what freedom becomes for that guy, he is fucked. All right? He may not know much, but I think he knows that. Because, I mean, how many times have we seen that? Somebody got to do something about these kids. Somebody got to help me with these kids. Motherfucker, you should have helped yourself. Keep your fucking feet and knees together. All right? And you don't have this problem. So now you look at this guy. This guy has this very third world perception of like what is freedom, what is right, what is wrong. And to him, he needs a big brother. He needs daddy on some level, because he might be, smart for the 56%. But I'm willing to bet, left to his devices, this motherfucker probably has somebody reminding him like, hey, dickhead, you got to fucking, pay your taxes. Hey, dickhead, you need to go fucking do X, Y, and Z. Otherwise, he ain't going to fucking do it. I mean, that's if I'm making bets, that's where I'm putting my money. Like, and these cats get dressed up like they get presented to you like, here's a motherfucker with an afro and he is squared the fuck away. And that is really the novelty act. I mean, you see it in every fucking movie ever. This is how they present to you. They're like, look, lives in the ghetto because that's his people's, man, and that's what he likes. He loves spray paint art and he loves fried chicken and this kind of shit. But inside, he's a fucking physicist, and man, he knows a thing or two, and he's also a world-class fighter, and he knows everybody everywhere, and he's just smooth, cool, and up and coming. And then you see the shit in real life, and you're like, oh yeah, not so much, not so fucking much. I think I don't know, maybe if I get a minute, I'll look more into this guy. But the other half of this thing, though, that really blew me away, I guess, and it's something that we've seen and we're all familiar with, is the absolute confidence of the diversity hire. Because nobody is ever going to tell this person they're wrong, especially in something super subjective, like you're having a political discussion or you're talking any kind of tactics or any kind of an opinion on anything. This fucking guy will be able to walk out there and declare absolutely, without a doubt, the sky is fucking green. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't know how you're going to argue me. Are you going to argue my experience? He'll be able to walk out there and say that shit with a straight fucking face every day of the week. And everybody will bend over backwards and sideways to be like, well, some days, depending on the weather and the clouds and reflection off the ocean, the sky could appear kind of green. He's got a good point. He's not wrong. They'll find a way to make the guy right. But what we end up with then is long and short, like your reality gets dictated to you by motherfuckers who don't see the world the same way you do. They don't understand freedom the way you understand it. They don't understand anything the way you understand it. And I ain't even having to say that they're bunny ears wrong. What I will say, though, is when you insist on living in a society built by people like me, for people like me, and then you want to come to me and say, like, oh, no, your perception is wrong. I mean, there shouldn't even be a discussion. It should be like more like wherever my ancestors came from, it was all fucked up. But I see how you guys are doing things, and I want a part of it, and I'll just see things however you see them. And the things I don't understand, I'll just take for granted. So when we say, yeah, you want absolute freedom, be careful, Tyrone. You probably don't want absolute freedom. And what you're asking for is kind of a little hand-holding. That's what you're actually needing. Don't fucking argue with me. Don't tell me like, nah, you ain't no shit. I obviously do know shit because look where you want to fucking live. I mean, because how many times we got to see, like, the greatest marker of success in the black community is not having to live in the black community, right? If you can escape, you've definitely made it. Because nobody fucking, starts making six figures and then immediately moves into some broke-ass fucking housing project so they could be with their own people. They don't fucking do it. They want to live next to you. Even if it means getting looked at sideways a little bit, they'll still take that over living next to people that look like them. And I don't know, maybe I'll take a look at some other stuff and get some more thoughts on this guy. I'd like to know why he ended up not working at CIA after only 7 years, because I know that ain't an easy process to go through, and you finally get your fucking foot in the door, and now only 7 years in is like, well, what, did you get offered a better fucking deal? I mean, as a diversity hire, I know you were fucking front and center for promotion, so don't come to me with I wasn't making enough money. So I don't know. I'm interested to hear, like, what's the story, guy? Sing me a song, dance me a dance. But I digress. The thing I wanted to hit on this week, and I guess you could call this the I don't know, the weekly, however often I get this done, the admonition for the episode, my yelling at you, harping at you to be a kind of a way. I listened to a short talk yesterday by the wife of Sam Malia, and if you don't know who that was, this was a guy that a couple years ago now got arrested and sentenced. He got found guilty and sentenced 2 years. 2 years. What do they call it? I can't remember what they call it in England. 2 years confinement, 2 years custody, whatever it is. Got sentenced to 2 years for putting up fucking stickers. For putting up stickers and for I don't know, how can you say, like, designing and distributing templates for people that they could print their own stickers and put them up. So this guy got arrested for this shit and sentenced to 2 years. And the way this shit kind of came down was his wife is talking about it, and I can't remember his wife's name, so, sorry, Mrs. Malia, what do you want? But his wife's talking about it. She's talking about initially they came at them with like legit terrorism charges. So mind you, this is in, Cuck Island, where, grooming 13-year-old girls is like, well, why don't we just waive that? Because she was probably a little bit into it. And, if we prosecute, the Pakistani club over here, then we might have to prosecute her for prostitution, right? And nobody wants that. So let's just pretend it never happened. Okay, let's do that. So thousands and thousands of white British girls, getting raped, getting groomed, some getting killed, one getting chopped up and put into kebab meat. No shit. That shit is not quite the priority. But the way that, Mrs. Malia puts it is, well, hey, maybe that stuff's not a problem now. I guess all those other problems must be solved, seeing as you've got time to come after my husband with terrorism charges for fucking stickers. And the way she's describing it is that, like, a lot of this is like, it was part of the 100 handers thing. I don't know if you've seen that, but it was like a sticker thing, primarily in UK. And it was a lot like the "it's okay to be white" thing. White people built this society, this kind of thing. Just pro-white messaging, good stuff. And they came to this guy with terrorism charges, talking about what you're doing is designed to incite racial hatred and to incite violence and this sort of thing. So they came at this guy, and she's saying that while they did eventually drop the terrorism charge, that it was the terrorism charge that got them the search warrant that allowed them to find all of this other stuff that they ended up trying to charge him with, right? Like, you would have not found, all of the templates or original designs or, stacks of the stuff at the house. All you would have is something on a lamppost. Where, like, yeah, it's okay to be white. And, like, who put this here? Maybe they go back through that UK video shit and they take the time to track him all the way back to his flat and say, hey, it's going to be you. So she's talking through this whole thing, and she's talking through the trial and such. And she's saying that, this is what they ultimately came with, was distributing material designed to incite racial hatred, and that the judge was kind of fucking around, joking around the whole time, like, this is kind of a fucking farce. That the prosecutors, their attitude was like, yeah, we don't really expect to get convicted on this, we don't expect a conviction. It was more like, we just want to give everybody like a watch your fucking step. You don't want to have to go through this, even though you'll get off on these charges, you don't want this, right? So watch your fucking step. But they're doing this thing, and this fucking jury comes back with guilty. And everybody was fucking surprised. Judge was surprised. Prosecutors were surprised. Everybody's fucking surprised. They go back in there for sentencing. The judge apparently got his nuts worked a little bit. He went ahead and said a few words about, now in an unprecedented time of anti-Semitism, throughout the UK, this is an especially dangerous proposition and this kind of shit. So handed the guy 2 years. And now I guess the guy has been since released, but I think he's on what they call license, released on license, which I am understanding, and Cook Island natives help me out. But as I understand it, is like, you're like on parole, like you watch your fucking step, like we'll snatch you right back in here. And apparently he's not permitted to talk about this whole situation while he's on license. So The thing that, well, one, it's obviously bullshit, right? Like you know, you can go around setting fire to things, raping people, assaulting people, and that can be chalked up to like, oh, they're just frustrated youths. They don't know any better. They're African, whatever the fuck. They think it's normal, right? They think it's normal to rape people. You don't fucking think that's normal, dude. Been to a lot of places. Nobody nowhere thinks that raping people is normal. Okay. So that's obviously bullshit. You know, the whole thing is bullshit. But the thing that really stuck with me on this was when she's talking about, you know, because she had a little message, like she says, I want to say this to the judge. And will he ever hear it? I don't fucking know. It doesn't matter. After what this woman and her family's been through, I think she could stand there and say whatever the fuck she wants to. Nobody's going to poo poo what she's got to put out. But you know, she had some things to say to the judge. She had some things to say to the prosecutors. She had some things to say to fellow white nationalists about, hey man, keep pushing, dude. People are seeing this shit. That you know, one of the things was that all the social media messaging, you know, she was like, I was afraid to look. I didn't want to look. I was so down. I didn't want to see what people were saying on social media. I just couldn't take it for a little while. And she's saying after a couple of weeks, she finally opened up, you know, like a Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and looked at what are people saying, and it was like blanket of like, what the fuck? Like, this ain't right. This guy should not be getting locked up for that. Like, just a lot of support, like way more support than she expected. So, where you look at the way that things are, you know, on Cuck Island, and you'd think that, man, it's like the whole world is against this. And the way she put it, like, are we even worth saving? You know, because nobody else gives a fuck. Like, why am I even trying? You assholes aren't even trying. What, you know, why don't we just move to the country and we'll just do our thing? You know, but then she says, like, the messages that I got and the talk that I was seeing, it was really inspiring that people do give a fuck. You know, there are a lot of people out there that give a shit. And then she came to the jury. And what does she want to say to the jury? And this was what really kind of hit me, was that, like she said, like, long and short, like, I just want to tell you that you're cowards. This is what everybody thinks. This is what everybody believes. You know what's going on in this country, and still, just because you're being looked at a little bit, you voted this way. You voted to convict my husband, send him inside for 2 years over fucking stickers. You're fucking cowards. That really hit me, man, because I had heard this kind of an idea before. You know, it reminded me of something I had heard before, and that was back when the COVID thing was going on, and it was this Dr. Peter McCullough guy, and he's talking about the findings that he had and some of the stuff that people were noticing and all this thing, you know, about the vaccine and this kind of shit, and how this shit should not have been getting wheeled out, you know. So he's talking about that, and then he's talking about doctors, and he says, you know, doctors, they're smart people, but they're not necessarily brave people. And I hadn't thought of it that way before. I mean, you know, some people just aren't brave. They just don't have any fucking balls. And to be completely honest with you, I think for a long time doing the job that I did, I think that I thought that maybe I was a lot braver than I was, you know, because doing the shit that I was doing, like, yeah, there was a lot of times I was like outside the wire, sometimes with just like one other guy, and driving around in a thin skinned vehicle, driving around dressed like a local, sneaking around, whatever the fuck. And like, yeah, I'm fucking brave. These people will kill me if they catch me. But at the end of the fucking day, dude, I got a big fuck off gun and I got a radio I can call back, and the whole world is going to come down on anybody with a pop gun that comes up and wants to start shit. If I'm being completely honest, how fucking brave is that? Not that fucking brave, dude. That ain't that fucking brave. Is it kind of cool? Yeah. Is it kind of fun? Yeah. Is it kind of thrilling? Yeah, sure. But is it fucking brave? I don't think it is, man. I don't really think it is. Because I've also been on the other side of this thing where, like, all right, you take a few steps in this direction, you say a few things in this direction, and now you're on the other end of that thing where, like, the entire apparatus of the state might be willing to come to your door and say, hey, we just wanted to talk to you real quick about a fucking post, a fucking podcast, something you said in public, something you said to this person, or a certain impression that you gave during XYZ event. We just want to talk to you a little, which means that you're under the fucking microscope now, and we're looking for a reason to lock your ass up. Now, what are you willing to do? Because it ain't about fucking gunslinging or calling for help or any of this shit. All right. And I honestly think that there's a time when, especially coming from where I came from, that like you come from that world and you step into this world and you get this feeling that like, fuck me, dude. Like you get this feeling that you didn't have before. Like going to meet up with dudes, going to do anything, putting out a fucking podcast, hanging a sticker, whatever the fuck. All right. You get this feeling you didn't have before. Like you're very much fucking alone. And I think that feeling can be mistaken for I'm wrong. Right? Because before, like, you have the whole world telling you you're right. You have the whole world back here flying fucking flags. Oh, support the troops. Thank you for your fucking service, which quite honestly equates to pretty much fuck you. A lot of people, they say it and mean it. They don't know any better, and they're trying to be cool to you. Coming from, like, the government, that means fuck you, stupid. So, when you have that back here and now you step into this other life where it's like, hey, man, not a lot of people support you, and the people that do support you ain't going to fucking say so. Now, can you keep doing what you're doing? Can you keep saying what you're saying? Can you put your big fucking balls on and be the guy that makes a difference, even if it's a teeny tiny fucking difference? So when I think of like these jury people in this Sam Malia situation, I think we got to ask ourselves, each of us has to ask ourselves, what would I fucking do? Would I see, like with the Derek Chauvin, the same fucking thing. Would I see what I see in the news? Would I see riots? Would I see buildings burning, cities burning, all this crazy shit, and then still walk in there and look at this thing and go, yeah, this seems like bullshit to me, and do what is quite honestly the right thing, even if it's not the easy thing? Do you have those fucking balls? So I've heard some people in this movement talk about, like, man, if you're not fucking out there at the forefront, pounding the pavement, sticking your fucking finger in some politician's face, putting your name out there, doing this shit and walking tall, then fuck you, you're not actually contributing. Again, I want to take an absolute opposite position on that. That it don't always take much, man. Sometimes, like with this woman, Mrs. Malia, sometimes all it takes is a little comment. Hey, man, I'm sorry about what happened. This sucks. It's bullshit. Even if you're just propping up somebody who is willing to step out there and wave their finger at somebody's face. Even if you're just giving a little bit of support. Even if you're just willing to say the small thing to somebody that's kind of on the fence or forming an opinion about tiny hat influence in whatever government you happen to live under. Even if you're just willing to do that teeny tiny thing. If you can put your big balls on for just a second and press down that feeling that says, man, I might be hanging out a little bit. I might be a little bit wrong on this. I'm taking a little bit of a risk. Man, just saying something should never give you the feeling that, like, I might face consequences for this. Because, I mean, if freedom of speech is nothing else, then what the fuck is it? It's freedom from fucking consequences. Like, yeah, you could do this, but you're going to get punched in the mouth, right? It's like saying, am I free not to pay taxes then? No, you got to pay taxes. Why? Because they'll lock you up if you don't. So are you free not to do it? No, you got to fucking do it because there will be consequences. Same fucking thing. If you're not free to say something, if you're not free to state the fucking obvious, then are you really free? If there's going to be fucking consequences, long-term, life-altering consequences. No, you're fucking not. So in that sense, I don't think it's much of a stretch to say, hey, this is pretty fucked up. So with that, I wanted to leave you with just this, how can I say, this rant, this fucking directive, this fucking admonition. Put your big balls on at some point this week. Tell a motherfucker something. Do one thing. If it's hang a sticker, post a post, make a comment, say something somewhere. Put your big balls on and make just a little tiny bit of a difference because the time is fucking coming. And speaking of that, man, with big balls, with the need for big balls in the immediate future, I still have no idea what to make of this election situation, man. I'm seeing all kinds of weird-ass wazoo stories of like, look, hi, I'm from Haiti, and I'm voting in 12 different places. And then I'm seeing like, yeah, here's a voting machine in Kentucky that like you click Donald Trump and it's going to shift it to Gorilla Harris. I still kind of think that like it don't much matter. I think Gorilla Harris getting in is just going to make it all wind down faster. I think Trump getting in, people will be fucking stoked for like a few weeks. But just like Obama, it'll be like, hey, I voted for hope and change. And where the fuck's my hope and change? Like, yeah, go fuck yourself. That's where it is. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Dude, I got to tell you, man, I don't mean to stretch this shit out too far, but I got to tell you, some of the loudest clucking I have heard has been about this abortion bullshit. Got into it with this leftard, man, and I heard the whole I asked for it. I said, look, man, I'll hear your fucking position. Tell me why this is more important than anything. Because there's honestly not a way you're going to sit and convince me that like a Guerrilla Harris sitting across from a Xi Jinping or a Vladimir Putin or fucking anybody, right? Anybody outside of President Duterte from the Philippines, like this woman cannot hold her own, dude. She's going to get fucking worked. She's going to get taken advantage of. She's going to be outsmarted at every turn. So tell me why all of those downsides take a back seat to abortion. Go ahead and explain it. So I hear the whole fucking to-do, man, and I hear the whole fucking story about, I heard a bunch of stories, honestly. I heard about, women are dying. I heard about Trump's going to outlaw it in every state. I heard about all this shit, dude. I heard about all of it. I said, send me material, dude. Send me articles. Send me something I can hang my hat on. Not because I'm going to vote for it, but I like to be informed, man. I don't, exclusively go for an echo chamber every time. I want to be at least a little bit informed. So I sit and I wait, and I finally get some material. So I'm getting like, one thing I got was this Project 2025 shit, 920 pages or some shit. And I'm like, look, first, I'm not reading all this. All right. This is like the fucking lefty wall text. I ain't reading this shit. Second, this isn't a government document. This is from some fucking, honestly, Hebrew-owned institution, the Heritage Foundation. These people probably don't have my interest in mind. They have what is disguised as my interest in mind. And I'm not looking through this, dude. So, and quite honestly, Donald Trump has said himself, like, I haven't read this. I'm not looking through this. I don't plan to adhere to whatever is in these 930 pages, so far as I know. But this was the argument that like Trump's going to institute a fascist state. And I'm like, dude, I fucking wish, right? Like, institute something that makes some fucking sense. That's your fucking argument for, well, Trump's going to outlaw abortion. And my take on it is, well, okay, hold on. If the federal government's position just 2 years ago was, hey, abortion is not our issue, it's a state issue, we're not putting our hands on it, then how do you see it happening where now suddenly the federal government steps in again and says, okay, no, actually it's outlawed now. It was okay before, then we're not going to do anything with it, but now according to you, they're going to step back in and say, no, it's completely banned. Nobody can have it. Does that make any fucking sense? I don't think it does. At this point, nothing would really surprise me, but I don't see a pathway from here to there. That's like, nobody's saying they're going to do that. No one's suggesting that could happen. All you're doing is just, I'm afraid this might happen. Okay, well, you being afraid isn't a reason to vote for anything. Then I look at a whole gaggle of articles about these women died. They died. And here was a rape victim that was forced to carry a child because a 13-year-old rape victim that was forced to carry this rape baby offspring, whatever. So all right, let me read it, dude. So I'm reading this shit and I'm trying to be moved. I'm trying to see your perspective here. But the first thing I see, I'm like, if this is your strongest argument, this is shit, because hear this out. So in one instance, there's a woman that was going to have an abortion in Georgia, had it scheduled, and then she got stuck in traffic. There was a traffic jam. I'm like, okay, this story is fucked up. This is bullshit. These are lies. Okay, but go ahead and continue. There was a traffic jam, and she couldn't make to her appointment. So after that, it was too late. They wouldn't do the abortion. So what you're telling me is, like, you didn't show up to your appointment, and then you didn't reschedule. So then what? Okay, well, then she ordered some shit from overseas, some kind of medical, whatever, fucking liquid baby killer, fucking drink this shit and have an abortion type thing. So she does this, and then it medically fucks her up, and then she doesn't go to the doctor for God knows how long because she thought she was in violation of the law. You understand? But apparently the law doesn't say anything like that. Basically a woman can't be prosecuted for an abortion. The doctor can be prosecuted for an illegal abortion. The woman can't. But she didn't know. You see, that's the thing. Okay, well, again, her not knowing, or her not showing up to this, that, or the other appointment, or her taking some drug she got from overseas, none of that is my fucking problem. None of that runs contrary to anything that is in place legally right now. They got this other one where, what was it? Some woman had tried to, like a do-it-yourself thing because she was scared, you understand? So, like, again, some woman got a hold of a coat hanger and was like, I don't want to go to jail. So gets a hold of a coat hanger, tries some do-it-yourself type deal, and I don't know that it was a coat hanger. I don't know what the fuck it was. But according to the article, attempted to resolve the issue on her own. Is like the colorful ways they put this shit, right? And fucked herself up, finally got to the doctor, and then she died. The other one was the 13-year-old girl who was raped, and I don't know, didn't tell anybody. Okay, it's a child. You didn't say anything. That's a fuck up. Then they went to the doctor, and the doctor says, yeah, sad news, friend, you're pregnant. But the doctor, and they have a picture of the doctor, again, soul brother like no other, the doctor didn't know, and this was also in like Atlanta or something. And the doctor didn't know, what the law was, and they didn't want to err, they want to err on the side of caution, so I have to obey the law. But the doctor, didn't recommend an abortion for this 13-year-old rape victim, so this kid ends up having a kid. It takes a while to beat around the fucking bush and finally explain in the article that, like, no, she's underage and a rape victim, and there's a police report filed. No, this qualifies for an abortion. So again, the law doesn't need to be changed. The law is there. And I said, okay, so you're saying I should vote for this person because these massive legal changes need to take place. You're talking about constitutional level shit where within a couple years, you're going to want the Supreme Court of the United States to reverse its decision. Why don't we just talk about something like, hey, maybe there needs to be better education for colored doctors who don't know what the fuck they're doing? How about better education for hood rats and ghetto pigeons so that they understand if you take some wazoo shit you got from China, you're going to probably kill yourself along with whatever spawn you've got going here. All right, why not start with that? I don't see any discussion on that. All I see is discussion on like, hey, we should just change the Constitution because women. All right, I'm not good with that. Can't say I'm good with that. That said, though, dude, for my money, it only stands to get interesting from here, man. If the Trump thing gets in, then, it's going to be all Jews all the time. And if Guerrilla Harris gets in, then, you know how they project, like, oh, if this happens, then they're going to come after you and they're going to do this and that and the other to you. And, okay, well, usually when it's projecting, man, and you're talking about we're going to round people up, you're going to do this, that's actually what they're going to do. So now, I don't know, man, maybe keep one foot in the stirrup. Either way, though, the sucky thing is that, like, both of these clowns are looking squarely at us like, that's like the one thing everybody agrees on. Yeah, straight white men, fuck them, right? So either way, times should get at least marginally interesting coming down the road. So with that, not to say it's all black-pilled. Who knows? Shit could at least be interesting. At least it'll be a few laughs. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, man. Eve of destruction. Try it on. But until next time, dude, you know where you can find this shit. Share it with somebody else. Keep your big balls on. Keep your eyes on the horizon. Keep your neck out of the noose. I have been Coffee, and these are my takes.